very, very particular about this, how we handle the material. So it covers everything, right from the time we purchase the raw material to the time we have delivered the finished goods to the customers.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. चले आगे चले, कोई दिक्कत नहीं.
Now it is visible, huh?
Ah, it's visible. Visible. Please go ahead.
So we can see what is the scope of materials management. Right from purchasing raw material, management of and control of work in progress, then storing the material, the raw material as well as the finished good, and warehousing these finished goods, then shipping and distribution of the goods which is being produced. Everything comes under material management. We are not only managing the raw material, but we are also managing the work in progress, whatever is in work in progress, in whichever stage it is in. Then when it has been finished, how do we store the raw material so that it is conveniently available whenever and wherever it is required? And similarly, when it is finished, how it is stored so that it can be easily distributed to the or shipped to the delivered to the customers whenever and wherever they require. So we have to all the time keep on controlling and monitoring this process of material. So the flow of material is production control. Actually, it is an overlapping process functions. It is not that it is in watertight compartment. It is in production control, it is in inventory control and material handling function. All these three are working together. When it is being produced from raw material to finished good, it is in production control. Inventory can be both of the raw material, inventory can be of work in progress material. And how and where the material is moving. You can see from this flow diagram, see, start over here, then plan how you are going to move with it. Because anything in management starts with planning. It is not that suddenly you get an idea and you start working on it. Not that. You have to carefully plan whatever action you are going to execute. That is one of the basic principles of management. To start with planning. Once you have planned, okay, you are going to make, say, bicycles. Then what all materials you require for it? You maybe require the rods, the wheels. Maybe you have a manufacturing unit where you can produce these things. You can require the iron and then convert that into rod, or you might buy semi-finished goods, and whatever is your planning, whatever is your requirement, accordingly you make the planning, then you purchase accordingly. Then you, after the purchasing, You receive that. Then you have to see. When you are receiving it, you have to inspect it and see it is received in the way in which the organization wants. So quality control is very important, because after all, it is not the raw material or the finished good or anything. It is the quality of the final product which is going to affect the image, the goodwill, the prosperity of your company. So quality control is very important. Then once the raw material is of the quality which the organization desires, then it is sent to the production department. From production department, the inventory it is in the now after being produced, it is in the finished good. So what is the inventory? See over here, inventory is only written over here, but inventory can be of anything. It can be of raw material, it can be of semi-finished goods. So every time you have to keep a control on the inventory. How much is required? See, anything, inventory should not be whatever. So forecasting is done. How many, what is the requirement of the market? What the customers demand, what they want, how many of them want it. So how much you have to produce? Because see, at the beginning only I had said key wastage should be less. What happens if suppose demand is so much and you have produced so much? So this is also known as bullwhip effect. Bullwhip means you have seen the whip with which either bull or horses are hit. They are controlled. So what happens? It is caught over here and then it jumps. It goes like this. Sorry, it is like this. So we have to, this fluctuation should be minimum. So that is why now in some of the production unit, they first see what is the demand. Like for example, Dell computers. They get the orders from the customers and then they start making. So minimization of wastage is there. Suppose they get order for say 10 computers, then they'll manufacture 10 computers. Why manufacture 20 computers and when the demand is only for 10? So 10 will be lying there on the shelves. And naturally the technology is changing so fast. So by the time they find a customer, maybe the technology will be old and the customer would not like it. So it depends upon the type of things which you are producing. Shape, design, everything is changing. So you have to have a very good concept of what is the demand and what are the features they are demanding. Accordingly, things have to be produced. So materials have to be bought accordingly. Whatever is the, because purchasing means you are buying things for all the total organization. After all, what is the objective of the organization? To produce that whatever product they are producing and then selling it to the customers. So what the customers want. So this is a cycle. This is a cycle. Here they gaze what the customer wants, then accordingly things are purchased, raw material is purchased, accordingly what are the features they want, accordingly the things is produced, and then it is sent back to the customer. So in supply chain, we say everything starts with the customer and ends with the customer. And it does not end over there. If the customer somehow or other, they don't like something, so they should have this option to either send it back to the organization or make the necessary diversification with the particular object if they don't want it. For example, when Indica was first launched, there were some very grave mistakes in it. So they bought back those vehicles and did the necessary modifications. And this is bullwhip effect, that here it is one, but then it is fluctuating. So we should avoid this. As far as possible, it has to be avoided. So inventory has to be controlled everywhere. Whatever is it should not be more than key things will be lying on the shelf, and it should not be less than the production process is hampered. Suppose enough raw material is not there, then what will happen? There will be so many dissatisfied customers. So that will also lead to what? The goodwill of the company, the profit of the company. There are two things. There is a one loss is actual loss, and another is opportunity loss. So we don't want that. Neither actual loss as far as possible. Neither the actual loss nor opportunity loss. If you are not able to, suppose somebody comes and wants a particular product from you, and by chance you don't have that product, you have to deny. The opportunity is lost. The opportunity to make profit is lost. And another is where you have the, but there's no demand. Then actual loss is there. So in both the losses have to be minimized. So keeping the exact inventory, actually you cannot have 100% exact, but as far as possible, try to keep the inventory such that these two losses are minimized. Then once it has been made, finished good, then it is stored either in storage or warehousing. And then from there it goes to consumer. Finally, it goes to the consumer. Actually, this can be like, suppose something, so it can come back to the manufacturer. There's some manufacturing defect or something is there. So after sales service is also very important. If you want to keep your not only satisfied, customer satisfied, but elated, happy. That is why so much emphasis is being placed on relationship marketing. This way you build a relationship with your customer. So he or she will come back to you. You don't have to, every time you don't go looking for new customers. The old customers will keep on coming back to you. The objective of production control function is to regulate the flow of materials throughout the manufacturing process. The department that are part of production control function are like, naturally, as I told you in the beginning only, purchasing, receiving, raw material inventory and production department, they are not watertight compartment. It is flowing from one to other. From purchasing, you are receiving the raw material, then you are keeping an inventory of the raw material, how much is required, how much you have bought, where it is required, where it has to be passed, in which department it has to go. In production departments also there will be number of units. Like I think last class you have done this process layout and product layout. So in which department it should go, where it should be converted, in what it has to be converted. All these things, the monitoring has to be done. And as I told you, inventory covers all three things: raw materials inventory, the production department, that is work in progress, and the finished good department. So materials management movement into, that is, it is coming into, then it is going through it, getting converted into the finished good, through, and then out of the form. Once it is made, it is being delivered to the customers. In, then into, and then out. This is the basic simple chain from raw material to work in progress to finished good to the customer. So naturally, here also purchasing department is involved, receiving raw material, inventory is involved, production involved, finished goods is involved, inventory, shipping, distribution, all these things, warehousing, all these are involved in material handling. They are, after all, it is a production unit, so you are all the time handling the product, whether it is in raw material form, whether it is in finished good form, whether it is in work in progress form. So now once, whether it is in raw material form, whether it is in finished good forms, or whether it has to be, for sometimes it is not always moving. Sometimes it is stored. So storage of material is also an important aspect. Whether it is raw material, work in progress, finished goods, spare parts, and other consumable goods are stored, there can be something which is directly required by the product which you are producing. There can be other things which will be required, maybe some lubricant, or maybe some adhesive, maybe there are so many things which it is not directly required, but maybe. So these things are required while the good is being produced. So that also has to be kept there in place, because you have to have those, whatever you require, at the right time. If it is not there, work will be hampered. So the technology, with the improvement in technology, now we have so many computerized production system, we have robotics. So all this has improved the material handling. Use of technology has improved the efficiency of material handling. Robots, automated guided vehicles, and automated storage and retrieval system. Like for example, you imagine a warehouse of big organizations like Amazon. There are so many types of things, small, big, different shapes, size. So they must be keeping it in such a way, through the help of artificial intelligence, with the help of coding, they immediately, because the delivery is very fast over there. Competition is quite great in this today's world. Everybody wants, in the moment you order, the thing you should be able to receive it. And things have been improving because of the technology, because of the know-how, because of this, they are easily able to locate where that material is kept and from where, how it is retrieved in the smallest possible time. If there is proper management and control of materials, then you will be saving on cost, reduction in lead time. Like for example, lead time can be both of the raw material going to the production department, or from finished goods going to the customers or the consumers. As far as possible, this lead time should be optimized, minimized. So a lot of time is not wasted at both the ends, whether you are from the raw material, you are going to the production department, or from the finished goods to the customers. And These will lead to efficiency in productivity, because then whatever is required is there. Whenever it is required, it is there in the right quantity, right quality, right place. So reduction of wastage is also minimized. So we have a materials management information system. See, information system is what? It is just like the nervous system of our body. Because see how efficient is this nervous system. Suppose if you touch something, immediately the stimulus will go to your brain and you take immediate action. Suppose that particular surface which you have touched is hot. Immediately your brain tells to remove your finger or anything, palm or whatever has touched it, immediately. And if this communication system breaks down, that thing is paralyzed. Over here also, the information now with the help of computers and online information, internet, we are producing things globally. Maybe it is being manufactured in one country, it is marketed in some other country, but all these links are bound together by information. You know exactly how things are moving, where it has moved. Like for example, today when you say, even if you order a pizza, you can track how it is moving from the place of delivery to your home. You can track how it is moving. Why it is that? Because of the information, because of the development in the information system. It provides information at right time. It also requests the supplier to supply the material on right time. So suppose by chance, because of anything, there can be so many reasons. If they are not able to, immediately that message will go to them that this particular thing at this time, at this of this quality is required. So please provide it. Or you can have, suppose they are not able to provide it, then you should have alternative suppliers who will be able to do it. For after all, your as a in an operation, your objective is what? To see that the production system does not get hampers. It does not stop. It keeps on moving. It keeps on producing things. It keeps on producing things which the customer wants. It also takes decision regarding when to buy or when to make parts and the like. Like where to, sometimes you might buy things, sometimes you don't buy the raw material, but you buy the unfinished good parts, and then you assemble it. Whatever decision is required, it makes analysis and it helps you in taking decision. So you can see things are moving from supplier to manufacturer to distributor to retailer. So you are moving from supplier to manufacturer to distributor to retailer to customer, and information is covering everything, the total. It is in circle. And material is moving from supplier to manufacturer to distributor, retailer to customer. And information is moving both ways, from supplier to customer as well as from customer to suppliers. And this covers the whole operation. of converting the raw material into the finished goods for the supplier. So information technology plays a very important role in achieving your objective. So we start with the purchasing function. It is what? Nothing but handling all items that are needed by the company or organization. Whatever is needed, in whatever form it is needed, in whatever price it is needed, in whatever quality it is needed. It handles all these things. The purchasing function is what? Nothing but this. It is nothing but buying these items needed by the organization or business, whatever you say, whether it you say business or you say organization. So it interacts with suppliers. Who all will be your suppliers? Whether they are able to maintain the timeliness, the quality, the price, everything what the organization wants. Then once it contacts, it receives quotations at what price they'll be giving you. They can have their own policy, whether to give it on the lowest quotation or whatever it is, on some quality basis, whatever is the policy of the organization. And then if that, based on that policy, they place the order for it and then get the material, and then they do the inspection and then the storage. The department is responsible for testing every item bought in order to make sure that they are in good condition. Materials bought by the purchasing department are stored by them until they are needed by the various departments and offices of the organization. It is not that the moment the material comes in, it is needed by. It has, for some time, it has to be stored somewhere. And so that is why retrieval of those things. बहुत अच्छी तरह तो रख दिया, but when it is needed, it is not there. Then what is the point? So proper retrieval system should be there. Some coding has to be done so that whenever things are required, it is there for the whichever department is requiring it, they should be getting the things. And actually, they have to seek the right thing in the right quality, the right price are bought. And then it is then supplied to the departments which they require it. So they are acting as a link between the supplier as well as the unit which require them. And actually, because after placing the orders for goods from supplier, the purchasing department checks the delivery to make sure that it is in the right quality, right price, all this, whatever was the quotation. Because naturally the things are bought according to some specification. So whether those specifications are being met or not. So it is the duty of the purchase department to see if these things tally. So for this, naturally the purchase department has to have a very good knowledge of the market, where it will be available, what type of quality will be available, what is the price like, because there is so much variant in the marketplace. If you don't have the, maybe better quality with a lesser price is available somewhere. If the purchase department does not have the information from where to get the material, which will be best suited for the organization, they'll be making the first mistake right at the beginning. They might be purchasing something at a greater price than if they had purchased it from somewhere else. So it is very necessary that they should have a very thorough knowledge about the marketplace. Devang, you read this aloud. Devang? Devang?
Yes, madam.
You read it?
Pardon?
Read the first. All buyers will need to have a. Can you see it?
Yes, yes, I can see that all buyers will need to have a wide knowledge.
He wanted you to study. Devang, ma'am
Okay.
wanted you to read
All
the
buyers
paper.
will need
Okay,
to have
okay,
a
okay.
wide knowledge of the markets from which they have to make their purchases. Whether these are raw materials, manufactured
Components or as in wholesale and retail trading finished goods. The knowledge will extend to how the supplier perform in regards to reliability and delivery performance.
So nobody makes a fool of them. Because see, after all, life is a game. There is something known as 2% zero-sum game. Whatever you win, the other one loses. So if you add that up, it will be zero. But here we want to have a win-win situation where both should win. The
Correct.
supplier as well as the manufacturer for which the purchasing department is working.
So purchaser is a qualified as well as a good experience and having an exposure of the market.
So if they have a good knowledge, then
Knowledge, yes.
Sometimes what happens, if you don't have the knowledge, the other person tries to make a fool of you because they have to sell their goods.
Correct.
So you have to have a very good knowledge about the marketplace. You should know, the purchase department should know whether they are getting the right quality at the right price, at
Yeah.
right time.
And right price.
Right price, naturally, right cost, I said, right price.
Yes.
Everything. And then naturally they have to be with close contact with the production because they are the one who will be requiring the material. So how much and what quality, what price, what they'll be requiring. They have to have a very good contact with the production department. Then only they'll be able to. So it is not that they are acting in isolation. Everything is integrated. The purchase department, the production department, the finance department, the marketing department, everything is integrated. Because they have to be closely attached to what the consumer wants, what is their want, what features they want. Accordingly, the things should be produced. So accordingly, the raw material or the unfinished goods will be bought. So it is something which is moving in a cycle and it is integrated. All the departments are geared to in fulfilling the objective of the organization. In most manufacturing industries, buyers will have to interact closely with the production department to ascertain their precise requirements. In retail selling, the buyer has a key role in the success of the enterprise in that he or she must closely watch consumer behavior and attitude, their taste and demand. What is their taste? What is their demand? As I said, what features they want, what color they want. So they have to have a purchase department is a very important department because that is the beginning. It is not that they are there just like that, they'll go and buy anything. They have to work according to what the production wants, what the finance, how much money the finance is ready to give them, what the marketing department, what the consumers want, what features they want, whether they'll be able to sell those products or not. So everything is working together. And this is inventory control may or may not be the direct control of purchasing, but it is his responsibility to see that whoever wants what is there in the right quantity at the right time. The inventory control may or may not be the direct responsibility of the purchasing officer. He is primarily responsible for ensuring that sufficient supplies of materials or components are available to maintain continuity of production or sale. Is that clear? So, after all, if the continuity breaks, then the production will break. And then the profitability of the organization will be affected. The goodwill of the organization will be affected. The buyer may do this by contracts with suppliers for regular deliveries or by building up stock to be used as and when required. Either if you see the buyer is very regular, then naturally, and in case there's something, you have some alternative suppliers. Buyer sees that the supplier is very regular, then accordingly it might not keep a very big stock with itself, because whenever the things are required, it is arriving. So that has been the past history of the supplier. It depends what is the behavior of the supplier. If they are able to fulfill the demand of the buyer according to their quotations, according to their timeline, according to their need, then the same supplier will work with them for a longer time. But in case there's that information should reach the buyer. Okay? Due to certain reason, they are not able to supply it within the time given to them. Then the buyer should always have some alternative supplier, knowledge of some alternative supplier. So suppose there's some sort of disruption, then they should be able to overcome that and fulfill the demands of the production unit, fulfill the demands of the customers, fulfill all the demands. So here, because as I said in the beginning only, the cost is very important. The purchasing department should be able to negotiate with the suppliers so that they get the material at the minimum cost. Maybe they can in the first go, they can be quoting some higher cost. But if you have a very good idea about the marketplace, you can always negotiate. And see, it is not always good to buy bulk, because over there the cost will go down. But what will happen? You have to keep that somewhere, store it. The storage cost will be there. So when we talk about inventory, there are two things. One cost is direct cost is going up, another cost is coming down. So wherever these two cross, again, when we come to inventory, I'll be teaching you the mathematical model of this. See, one cost is going up and another. So here, this is the minimum cost, total cost. One is, suppose you are buying in bulk, maybe the cost is coming down, but then the storage cost is going up, because you will have to keep it, stock it somewhere, and keep the material in the proper condition. So whenever they are required, it is not that, like for example, even in a household, sometimes what happens when certain things, abhi to we have very small families. So this is not practiced. But when we had larger families, then what they used to do is buy grains in bulk when the prices were very low. But then keeping those grain in the proper condition, that whenever they are required, they are in good condition and they can be consumed. Whether it is grains or whether it is onions, whether it is potatoes, whatever it is, these things are perishable. So keeping them in good condition also requires cost. So as a purchase manager, the inventory control, that is what we are looking at. Keeping the cost minimum, the total cost, the one which is going up and the one which is coming down, wherever they intersect, that is the minimum cost. We have to see what is the economic lot quantity at that particular cost, how much we should buy. When we'll be doing inventory, I'll do the mathematical model associated with this, which is also known as economic lot. We have already done this regarding quality and delivery dates. The purchase department has to see to it that the suppliers are adhering to the quality and the delivery dates. The purchasing will constantly investigate, because see, these dynamics are not permanent. Things are changing in the marketplace. So you have to keep a tab of the whatever is happening in the marketplace as a purchasing manager. Ho sakta hai, whatever is good today, maybe tomorrow things might change, maybe for better or for worse. So you have to change yourself accordingly and do whatever is best for the organization. So you have to see that you get the best price at best terms and whatever deliveries you want, at what time you want the deliveries. If these are not met by the suppliers, which you know, what are the alternative suppliers to ensure continuity of delivery in case the main source suddenly fails for any reason. So, जैसे हम लोग कहते हैं ना, you have to keep something for the rainy day. भाई हम लोग जितने पैसे ही, just look at your own finances also. You don't spend everything. You keep something from emergency. So here also, as a purchasing manager, you have to see कि suppose my regular supplier is not able to supply at the time when I require the material. So I should have some alternative where it can be tapped and you can get the desired material from them. You can see that the purchasing department is associated with each and every function, with the engineering, production and planning, because then they will be telling them what they require, what material they require, what quantity they require, what quality they require, what features they require. Then they should keep a tap on the market so that from where to buy, how much to buy, at what price to buy. Production department, naturally, if the purchase department does not supply them material according to the delivery days, then the whole production is affected by it. So, as I told you earlier also, these are integrated. Then marketing function is also related, because it will start with purchasing, but it ends with marketing. If the start is not right, naturally the end product will be affected. And finance, without finance, nothing can be done. The buying department is a major spender in any organization. It links with the accounts department. Therefore, obvious credit term is regarded to payment time, and cash discounts are as important as the actual purchase. So whether they can give cash discounts, whether it will be paid in credit or in cash, whatever it is, that should be the policy of the purchase department, depending upon its financial conditions, its relationship with the marketplace. Proper timing of purchases can have a positive effect on working capital. If, for example, credit terms are for remittance at the end of the month following delivery, then orders for delivery in the first week of a month allow for 2 months credit before payment is due. So, what money they require for their day-to-day working? Then maybe if they can give it in credit, so for day-to-day working, money will be there with the finance department. The working capital will be affected by whatever is the credit. So purchase has a very close relationship with all the departments. Functional areas, what we talk about. Even HR, who all are handling it, how they are handling it. So whether you are in HR, whether you are in finance, whether you are in marketing, everybody is directly or indirectly related with the purchasing department. So I had told you now, like, prudence must always prevail in this connection, as the cost of storage can easily absorb any saving made by favorable price. If you are spending too much on storage, even if you have bought the material at a lesser cost, but that will be eating up, because if you are spending too much on storage, so you have to have a balance between these two. So as I said, there should be a clear policy. Because when you don't have a clear policy, when you are negotiating with your suppliers, you will not know what to tell them. Whether you can give them credit, if you want to buy things on credit, that is, you won't be paying them immediately, but after a certain time. If that is your policy, then naturally the supplier should also know, and then they should know by what time they should get the credit. So they should have very clear policy. Finally, it is the responsibility of the top management, but the purchasing department can make the process clearer to the top management, and accordingly the top management can make the policies. Then how much stock, as I said, keeping too much and too little, both will be affecting either your opportunity lost or direct lost. So how much should they stock they should carry? How much stock they should carry? For this, they should have some scientific reason, not haphazardly, because see, here it cannot be totally scientific. People with lot of experience in this particular area, their feedback, as well as the scientific formula on which you calculate the economic lot quantity, they together should work together, and then they should decide how much stock they should have. So accordingly, the purchase will be done. So the policy should be made very clear right at the beginning. And for that, again, I said, management is not a one-day job. You have to make a proper planning. And for that planning, you have to have feedback, information from every nook and corner. which whoever is involved in that, then it should be discussed among themselves, and then finally the conclusion should depend upon the whatever discussion has been taken, whatever data they have. So analyzing those data, because from so many sources they'll be having data, so they should analyze those data, and then on that their policy should depend upon that. Some might be qualitative, some might be quantitative. Both qualitative as well as quantitative approach should be taken to come to certain policies, and accordingly they should work, so that in the future both the supplier as well as the buyer should know in which direction they have to move. Ambiguity nahi hona chahiye. Supplier has thought of something else and the buyer has, and there is no clear communication between them, because there is no clear policy. So there is no clear communication. So later on it will lead to problems. Cost of holding stores, quantity discounts, possible financial implication of production stoppages, and vulnerability to deterioration and to theft will play a part in making this. So you have to see, all these things should govern your policy making. Then certain raw material are subject to wide price fluctuations. So it may be both rational and profitable to purchase large quantities when they become available at low prices. There are two advantages in doing this. First, the production department gains the benefit of low priced inputs, which will lead to lower selling prices. And then naturally here they should also keep in account what will be the storage cost. But this will give a final product, will give a competitive edge to price. Or maybe you buy, like for example, if you buy a share at a very low price, when the prices were very low, and then when it goes high, you sell it, so you make a lot of profit. So here also, if you buy the material at a very low price, when the price was very low in the market, and so, but you sell it at a much higher prices, so who will be making the profit? The organization itself will be making the profit. Then what type of a contract you want to make with the supplier, whether it has to be a long-term contract or a short-term contract. That policy has to be very clear. So maybe because there's so much of variation and so much of disparity in the marketplace, the organization does not want to make long-term contract with the supplier, because they'll have to keep on buying from the same supplier year after year, because they have made the contract, a long-term contract. And meanwhile, see, there are other suppliers which are selling it for a lower cost. So they cannot change. So looking at the market dynamics, the contract, the term of the contract should depend upon that.
अच्छा समझी, ओके ओके.
Pardon? क्या कुछ पूछ रहे थे? ऐसे लिखा ना, being committed to one supplier at fixed prices may be damaging if prices fall suddenly, or supplies from the contractor failed for some reason. So long-term contract में ये भी problem, तो you have to see कि what is the dynamic in the market. यदि वहां बहुत ज्यादा फ्लक्चुएशन है तो लॉन्ग टर्म कंट्रैक्ट करने से आपको नुकसान होगा. मगर सुटेबल ये है, ज्यादा वेरिएबिलिटी नहीं है, थिंग्स आर मूविंग स्मूथली, तो ओवर देयर अ लॉन्ग टर्म कंट्रैक्ट विल डू. But that you have to see as a purchase manager, you have to give the feedback to the top manager, because the top management only will be making the policy, but the feedback has to come from the everyone who is involved in the purchasing of the material. So we say the objective of efficient purchasing can be set out in 7 rights. The right good, the right goods, right price, right quantity, right quality, right time, right place, and on right terms and conditions. These 7 aspects of efficient purchasing. Then what all things you have to see when you are receiving the goods? First of all, naturally, you are receiving the incoming materials. Then you have to physically check. Sometimes it is not feasible to check everything universally. So there we go for sampling. But then in sampling, we have to be very careful because whatever inferences we are drawing, it is for the whole population. So samples should be of a true representative of the population. Like for example, suppose it is a homogeneous population, then even a very small sample will satisfy your needs. Suppose you are cooking rice. Whether you are cooking, because that is a homogeneous thing, each rice grain is of the same quality. So you pick up only one grain and see whether it is cooked or not. So whether you are cooking in a small pot or a big pot, you pick up only one grain. So your sample size is very small. But suppose if you have something which is very variable, for example, human beings, there is a lot of variability over here. So we try to find, that is why we don't, the sample size is comparatively bigger. And it, like say for example, if you want to make some study of pan-India, so we cannot only focus on say on Kashmir and we can make conclusion for pan-India. We have to take sample from each state and maybe from each economic level. And then only, and that also will not be 100% correct. It will be, to some extent, it will be a much better conclusion than taking just few people from there. So it will depend upon the variability in the population. So you have to see whether you will go physically when you're checking the received material, whether, because generally over here they are homogeneous. You're buying material for certain things. So everything is almost of the same type. The variability of one type is the same, is not much. So even if you take a small sample and check whether it is good, you can collect the sample randomly. Randomly means you are each person in the population has the equal probability of getting selected. For example, you are selecting certain things, maybe they are coded. Then you just pick up some numbers and then take those material and check whether they are good or not. If they are good, you pass the sample. If they're not, then you reject it. Arrange for speedy and proper inspection. Actually, I said proper inspection. Proper means it should not take too much of time. अब आप सोचते ही रह गए कि whether I should go for random sampling, whether I should. So this is something, it is not for once. It is ongoing. So once that policy has been decided, they know what type of material they are buying. Accordingly, the policy can be decided, okay, they'll go for random sampling, you go for systematic random sampling, there's a non-random sampling. And whatever is the policy accordingly, but it should be much faster because there are so many people waiting in the market for the supplier. If you don't buy, the supplier will go to someone else, so you might lose a good opportunity. So it has to be speedy as well as proper inspection. Then you raise goods involved node. Okay, these things have come and it has been checked and it has been passed. And then you inform other departments also whether the things which they require is available or not available. So accordingly, they can also plan their production. Suppose it is not at particular some reason or other, it is not available. Maybe they can do something else meanwhile. So the proper information, and this is done by the material management information system. So now it is being computerized. All these things are being computerized. So immediately the information is passed to the concerned person. Then whether they are in sufficient quantity, sufficient exact quality, or there is some defect in them, whatever is the reason, whatever is there, that information should also pass to the concerned person. And material should be, because see, every material will not placed at the same place. There are certain places for each type of material. Maybe some material is liquid, some material are powder and some material are some metal. So all these things have to be kept at different places. Some exact places should be there, identified for keeping these materials. Proper identification should be there. And the material, once it is purchased and received, it should go to the place where it is required to be placed. अब ऐसा नहीं है कि वहां आपको लिक्विड स्टोर करना था, वो जगह उस तरह बना हुआ है कि you can store liquid and you send metals to that place. So naturally it will be mishandling of the raw material, and that will lead to production problems. And record keeping is very important. Keeping record of each and every transaction. So in case of any problem later on, you have the record to check and see. And plus passing information also becomes very easy. If you don't have records, how will you tell the other department whether the material is available or not, whether the material is 100% safe or not, whether there is defective materials in them or not, whatever is. So record keeping or documentation to maintain quality, that is why so much emphasis is being placed on documentation. If you want to have a good quality, documentation is very important. You can check the material at the supplier's warehouse or once the goods are received in the department. It can be either way. That should be the policy. Again, the policy should be very clear right at the beginning, where it should be checked. Whether it should be checked at the supplier's godown or at the department where it is being received. Actually, inspection is that non-standard or defective items are eliminated. Why do you do inspection? You want to get only those materials which are needed by the organization. Something which is defective or which is not up to the standard, maybe it is good, it is not, maybe it might be required somewhere else. But if it is not required by you, then it is of no value. So by inspection, you eliminate all those things. It is of utmost importance, both quality and quantity. Like suppose you require 100 units and you are getting only say 68 units. Then quantity is less, even if the material is of the standard you require, but not the quantity is not good. So inspection only will tell you whether it is of desired quality and desired quantity. What should be the objective of inspection? To maintain product quality, to receive only the correct quantity of materials. Suppose you require 100 and 150 are sent to you. Again, you don't require those 50. It will be just a burden to your organization. to ensure that supplies are careful and efficient. Naturally, if proper inspection is done, speedy inspection is done, then they'll know that it is not that they can deliver anything and it will be received by the organization. It has to be in the proper condition to utilize the money invested optimally. Because all these things, if it is not done properly, it will affect the profit margin of the organization. To increase the watchfulness of the purchase and store staff. Actually, it is a two-way. The supplier also will be vigilant. It supplies only the correct material in the quantity which it is asked for, and also the purchase department and the store staff, they should also be vigilant. They get the exact things which they are looking, the other departments are looking for. Once it is received, then it is inspected and then it is stored until it is used by anyone who requires it. Materials are received in an organization storage department where they are stored until issued to the using department. Materials are preserved to protect them from different types of damages, such as maintains the original value and quality. ऐसा नहीं है कि when it was received, it was in good condition, but it was not stored properly. तो जब तक when it is used, its condition has deteriorated. मान लो कोई something is of iron, it has become rusted. It is not. It should be kept in such a way that rusting does not happen. Maybe some oiling or somewhere. It has to be kept in that particular, so that the value and the quality of the product is maintained, of the raw material or the semi-finished good, whatever it is maintained. Maintaining the original value and quality of materials can improve production quality while reducing storage and production cost. Storage of materials, therefore, is a critical function. So, as I told you, like suppose if you are buying grains, something which is natural products are quite perishable. So you have to maintain that. Whenever they are being used, they are in proper condition. तो उसको ऐसा नहीं है कि ऐसे ही छोड़ दिए, कभी ऐसे जगह पर छोड़ दिया जहाँ वो बारिश, it is being damaged by rain, or it is damaged by too much of heat, or whatever the reason is. Similarly, in an organization also, you are getting materials, you are storing them in such a, you should store it in such a way that whenever and whenever it is required, it is in the same condition. So maintaining the quality and the quantity of the raw material is very important, and that the purchase department has to see to it. Storage is also a part of, like, once it is received, it is inspected and then it is stored. So these three things are interrelated. The storage is very important because that only maintains the things till it is being required, and it has to be maintained in the same quality and quantity in which it is required. The aim is to keeping materials safe, protecting materials from damage, protecting materials from loss of value or quality, ensuring the availability of materials in a perfect and serviceable condition. अब ऐसा नहीं है कि वो जब तक वो when it is required it is not working properly, तो serviceable condition में होना चाहिए. Ensuring the smooth and efficient functioning of the production department. If these prior things are not maintained, then the production function will be affected. If it is not proper quality and quantity, the production department will be affected. And naturally, the production, if it is affected, the marketing will be affected. The profitability will be affected. So finance department will be affected. So it is not that the storage is something which is not important. It is important. Each and every function has its importance. Actually, we don't notice it until and unless something goes wrong. जैसे पहले के जमाने में क्या होता था, कोई ड्रामा हुआ तो लास्ट में होल कास्ट यूज्ड टू स्टैंड स्टिल फॉर अ मोमेंट ऑन द स्टेज. आई डोंट नो वेदर, बिकॉज आजकल तो शायद लाइव ड्रामा तो कोई देखता नहीं है, बट जब हम लोग पढ़ते थे स्कूल में तो ऐसा ही होता था. लास्ट में सारे पूरा स्टाफ आकर, जितने भी कास्ट थे वो आके स्टेज पर खड़े हो जाते थे फॉर अ मोमेंट एंड दे यूज्ड टू स्टैंड स्टिल. अब उसी बीच जल्दी से द कर्टन ड्रॉवर, उसको कर्टन ड्रॉ करना होता था. Suppose what will happen if he does not do his or her work properly within time, वो थोड़ा भी देर हो जाएगा तो इतने सारे लोग एकदम स्टैंड स्टिल बहुत देर के लिए तो नहीं खड़े हो सकते, वो हिल जाएंगे तो सारा इम्पैक्ट खत्म. हालांकि कर्टन ड्रॉअर का काम बहुत, हम लोग सोचते बहुत बहुत नीचे वाला काम है, बट दैट इज ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट. बहुत अच्छा प्ले हुआ, मगर जो लास्ट मोमेंट का इम्पैक्ट यदि खराब हो गया तो फिर पूरा प्ले खराब हो गया. तो इट इज लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू गो टू अ वेरी बिग 5-star होटल, बहुत अच्छा खाना है, बहुत अच्छा सब है, बट द डोरमैन हु वेलकम्स यू, इफ ही और शी डज नॉट डू द जॉब प्रॉपर्ली, और जो भी लड़की है फ्रंट डेस्क पर, इफ शी डज नॉट डू हर जॉब प्रॉपर्ली, पहला इंप्रेशन ही आपका खराब हो जाएगा. So it is not that in any organization, it is the total impact of all the components. If they don't do their work, क्या होता है ना, जब तक वो काम खराब नहीं हो जाए, we don't notice it. तो जब तक वो स्मूथली चल रहा है तो हम लोग नोटिस ही नहीं करते कि स्टोरेज क्या है, कुछ ऐसा है. But it is not that. Storage is also equally important. Storing things in the proper way. Efficient storage requires careful consideration of the following: checking of materials, classification of materials. क्योंकि storing का मतलब है whenever it is required, it should, whoever requires it, the material should go to that person. तो यदि classification नहीं है, हमने जैसे कहा कि जहाँ your some liquid material or chemicals are kept somewhere, the powders are kept somewhere, some other things are kept. If they are not kept properly, एक classification नहीं हुआ कि कहाँ किसको रखना है, then what will happen? It will not reach the person at the time when he or she requires it. इसीलिए कोडिफिकेशन भी जरूरी है. क्या कोड हम देंगे, उसी कोड के हिसाब से उसको निकालते हैं हम. अरेंजिंग ऑफ मटेरियल्स, सिस्टमैटिक स्टोरेज ऑफ मटेरियल, बिन्स, रैक्स एंड अदर प्लेसेस. उसको बिन में रखना है कि रैक्स पर रखना है कि कहाँ रखना है, दैट हैज टू बी प्रॉपर गाइडलाइन, प्रॉपर पॉलिसी ऑफ स्टोरेज शुड आल्सो बी देयर. फिर कितने हाइट पर रखना है. कोई सामान है हम बहुत ऊंचा नहीं रखते क्योंकि इट इज फ्रीक्वेंटली रिक्वायर्ड, और बहुत ऊंचा रख देने से बार बार आपको या तो कोई उसको निकालना मुश्किल हो जाता है. मे बी once in a while it is required, then you can keep it at a very higher level. So what level you should keep it when it is required? You should know कि how, when, where things are required, and accordingly storage should be done. I think the other parts I'll do in next class. क्योंकि अभी तो काफी है purchasing में, materials handling में. Okay, if you have any question, you can ask me.
No, ma'am. Today class is very smooth. Like it is the descriptive.
Your voice is not clear.
Okay. Today's class is very descriptive. Yeah, it is not hard to understand. So it is very smooth.
I've tried to explain it as in easy way,
Yeah.
as far as possible.
Right. Good, ma'am. Really.
Yes, ma'am. Even I'm agreeing with Anka sir as well, because you explain it very clearly today.
Titi, I cannot understand what you are saying.
If he said
Ma'am,
that,
actually, I'm saying.
Yes. Yes.
Clarity is very
Ma'am,
much
your
from
class-
your lecture.
Your class today was very much detailed oriented, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So should we say good night now? You don't have any
Yes, ma'am.
questions? Hmm?
Madam, need this lecture PPT.
Tomorrow your class is from 4:30 to 6:30.
Okay, ma'am.
4:30,
Because
yes.
Mr. Sukumar has got some other work. Because tomorrow is Sunday, so tomorrow your class is from 4:30 to 6:30.
Madam, last lecture and this lecture PPT is required, was not shared.
I'll send the PPT. I'll send the. Actually, this week I was not well.
Okay, okay,
So
Okay.
I'll send both the PPTs together.
Sure, ma'am.
okay. Thank you, madam.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.